Alwyn from Adobe. Technology plays a huge part when it comes to visibility of fashion and sustainability. How could you please explain what exactly is it that you guys do and how are you helping that industry?
Yeah, so Adobe have invested in the last few years in software that really is about 3D and virtual photography. So during this sort of whole COVID pandemic, companies have been fast-tracking their digital strategy, one of them being the fashion industry, and understanding that actually how can we reproduce, I guess, photo shoots, and also looking at runways and stuff like that. They haven't been able to do that during this whole time. What's come out of that is actually looking at digital fashion as a 3D pipeline to be able to replace some of the traditional pipelines. So when you think about a design would go on a sample, the sample would then get shipped overseas, there'd be that time that goes through. When you look at that through a sort of a digital or tech lens, you're able to take that design, bring it into the computer, be able to go through iterations of that design process before before any garment gets made. So it's really looking and fast-tracking and streamlining, optimizing, as well as saving a lot of sample wastage, which was, to me, was a huge surprise when I realised how much sample wastage went on.
That's right. So I was just about to ask you about this, the sample wastage. What are we talking about within Australia?
Yeah, well, when I did my research on that, when you think about it from one garment, it's not just one sample that is produced for that garment. There's many different types of samples that actually go into that one garment. So it's incredible the amount of wastage that goes on just for one garment. So we're talking about millions of dollars worth of money that is spent on this. So if you're a company in Australia and you're working in retail, you could be potentially saving on this on your bottom line.
So when did this actually come into place for Adobe?
The technology side of things?
Yes.
Yeah,
for the textiles?
Yeah, for the textiles, there's been a few different bits of software that are really focused on fashion, like Clo3D and Browseware, for example. The Substance apps, which are Adobe owned, they integrate with those applications. And when you think about Clo3D, it really is digital pattern making. So it's bringing that whole process into a digital world and then being able to make it look photorealistic using the Adobe Substance applications. So this is really, now we're seeing really high-end fashion labels like your Nikes, your Chanels, all these big companies that are now adopting this 3D pipeline.
Yeah.
So what we're really looking at now, from my perspective, is looking at education and going, okay, how do we bring people that are from that sort of tech world and the fashion world and bring them together to be able to create these students that are now looking at these sort of hybrid jobs of the future.
That's right. And it's actually really amazing to understand how the different links are connected.
Yeah.
Technology and fashion in that extent. Yeah.
Exactly. I was in Queensland last week talking to universities, and I was explaining there's two worlds that are colliding when you think about visual effects, and that's what my background is. When you think about visual effects and games and the technology that's used in those industries, it's now really a collision with fashion and architecture, all these other industries that are now tapping into this technology to be able to create realistic garments or 3D assets. So that's what really when we look at the education and what that should look like, it's really that technology plus the creative to be able to marry up and be able to have candidates that are able to supply the demand for these companies.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, thank you, Alwyn, for explaining all of that.
Thank you for having me on.
Such a pleasure to meet you here in person.
Yeah, thank you.
Cheers.